Welcome to Forgotten Faces. Meet Hong Xiuquan, failed student, visionary, self-proclaimed younger brother of Jesus, and the man who decided that failing an exam wasn't enough punishment. So he went on to lead one of the deadliest rebellions in human history. Yes, you heard that right. He thought, if I can't pass my exams, maybe I'm divine, and maybe the world needs me to fix it. And thus began a journey of visions, armies, utopian dreams, and, well, a death toll that makes your local traffic jam feel trivial. Strap in, because Hong Xiuquan's story is epic, absurd, horrifying, and fascinating all at once. Hong Xiuquan was born in 1814 in a small village in Guangdong Province, China, into a modest Hakka family, a hard-working, close-knit subgroup of the Han Chinese known for resilience and perseverance. His parents were diligent and probably a little proud of their son's intelligence. Though little did they know, he was about to take thinking outside the box to a whole new level. As a child, Hong was diligent and ambitious. He studied tirelessly, memorizing Confucian texts, practicing calligraphy, and dreaming of a prestigious civil service career. In Imperial China, passing the civil service exams was basically the ultimate life hack. It promised fame, fortune, and influence. Fail, and, well, your options were considerably more limited. And fail he did, not once, not twice, but multiple times. The exams were brutal, competitive, and sometimes described as a mental torture chamber disguised as education. After repeated failures, Hong sank into despair. It's easy to imagine him sitting in a bamboo chair, staring at his failed results, thinking, maybe the problem isn't me, maybe the universe just has it in for me. Then came the twist that would change everything. In 1837, after yet another exam disaster, Hong reportedly had a vision. He claimed he saw a golden-haired figure, followed by a majestic man he identified as Jesus, telling him, "You are my younger brother, and it's your divine mission to save China." Yes, you heard that correctly. Failed exams, divine appointment, messiah complex. One could call it a dramatic career pivot, but Hong took it very literally. Suddenly, the world was no longer about exams or bureaucrats. It was about heavenly missions, visions, and saving souls. And yes, I know what you are thinking. Let's just say if you squint a little, history seems to enjoy promoting failed students into world-shaking despots with a flair for divine missions. If you know, you know. From this moment, the young scholar-turned-messianic visionary began plotting a path that would take him from a quiet village in Guangdong to the helm of one of the largest and bloodiest rebellions in history. All because someone just couldn't pass a test. Now, how do you go from private visions in your bedroom to hundreds, then thousands of devoted followers? Hong had a few tricks up his sleeve. First, he blended Christian teachings with familiar Chinese millenarian ideas, creating a new religious doctrine that was both foreign and strangely comforting. It promised justice, equality, and a utopia for the oppressed. Basically, a heavenly startup with peasants as your first investors. He preached tirelessly in local villages, combining charisma, personal stories, and ritual to convince people that he really was the divine brother of Jesus. And his timing couldn't have been better. Life under the Qing dynasty was harsh. Poverty, famine, and corruption were rampant. Hong's message offered hope and a sense of purpose to the downtrodden. Suddenly, his followers weren't just listening, they were devoted, believing in his visions, rituals, and the promise of a new world. Hong also created small, disciplined communities where members lived by strict moral codes and prepared for his promised revolution. It was a brilliant strategy. Convert a few, teach them to convert others, and soon your movement spreads like wildfire. Combine divine authority with social reforms that actually benefit the people, sprinkle in a little apocalyptic urgency, and you've got a recipe for a following that grows exponentially. And let's be honest, part of the appeal was pure theatricality. A man claiming to be Jesus' younger brother, appearing in visions, preaching a radical new order. That's history-level drama. Villagers didn't just sign up, they told their neighbors. And before long, Hong had created the God-worshipping society, a religious movement that would eventually become the backbone of the Taiping Rebellion. In short, he went from exam failure to spiritual influencer extraordinaire, convincing thousands that the world wasn't broken, it just needed a younger, slightly overzealous brother of Jesus to fix it. With his followers gathered and visions in full swing, Hong Xiuquan took the next very natural step, launch a massive rebellion. Thus began the Taiping Rebellion, one of history's deadliest uprisings, which somehow barely registers on the global history radar. Hong proclaimed the heavenly kingdom of great peace, a utopia where land was redistributed, women gained unprecedented freedoms, even serving in the military, and Confucian traditions were challenged. He even banned opium. But you already know that if you follow our work, if not, go check out our video about the Opium War, and don't forget to subscribe for more history you won't learn in school. So, moral high ground? Check revolutionary governance. Check unavoidable chaos. Also check. The rebellion quickly ballooned into an army of hundreds of thousands, with Nanjing as its capital and Hong as its quasi-divine leader. His government minted its own money, issued laws, and tried to build a functioning state, all while wielding religion like a double-edged sword. The Taipings were organized, disciplined, and terrifyingly zealous. But let's be clear, the Qing dynasty wasn't exactly a model of benevolence. The imperial government was brutal, totalitarian, and ready to crush dissent at any cost. They used mass conscription, forced labor, executions, and scorched earth tactics, sometimes slaughtering entire villages suspected of supporting the rebels. In other words, the so-called bad guys and the good guys were both operating in a world where violence was just part of governance. Inevitably, chaos ensued. Despite the early successes of the Heavenly Kingdom, cracks began to appear. Hong Xiuquan's leadership grew increasingly rigid, paranoid, and authoritarian. Ministers and generals who questioned him or disagreed with his visions often disappeared, sometimes executed, sometimes demoted, sometimes just mysteriously gone. Let's just say his style of divine management wasn't exactly a morale booster. Meanwhile, the Qing government wasn't letting the rebellion fester. They deployed armies with ruthless efficiency, enlisting mercenaries, local militias, and foreign military advisors to crush the Taipings. Cities changed hands, civilians were caught in the crossfire, and famine and disease compounded the chaos. Both sides were, in essence, fighting a war of total control, where victory often came at the cost of entire communities. By 1864, the rebellion was effectively crushed. Nanjing fell, the Taiping leadership was captured or killed, and Hong Xiuquan himself died in relative obscurity, reportedly from illness in his final stronghold. The Heavenly Kingdom of Great Peace had lasted about 14 years, leaving behind a trail of devastation, but also a complex legacy. And here's the kicker. Despite an enormous death toll, 20 to 30 million people, yes, that's more than World War I, and the sheer audacity of Hong's vision, the rebellion is still largely forgotten outside of China. Textbooks often gloss over it with a sentence or two, leaving it as a footnote between European colonial adventures. Meanwhile, in China, it remains a symbol of both revolutionary zeal and cautionary excess, a reminder that ambitious visions can inspire millions, but fanaticism can destroy just as many. So, what's the takeaway? Hong Xiuquan was a failed student turned messiah, a man whose extraordinary vision shook an empire and whose radical leadership cost tens of millions of lives. He was neither purely villain nor hero, but undeniably a forgotten face of history whose story is stranger than fiction. If Hong Xiuquan blew your mind, subscribe and join us to uncover more forgotten faces from history.